Will now be recorded.
Cloud started from on-premise Azure Cloud and Azure Cloud or any of the cloud like AWS or Azure or GCP, whatever the cloud it is, and how can we go ahead and discuss about the one second. And what is the importance of Azure environment, and when we have the on-premise environment, how this server started, how the training.com, suppose like we have took the example of an application called training.com and we have sent that training.com to the on-premise server. From on-premise server the user will be accessing our application. This is like a old process, and once this old process is got completed, then we have the other process called the deploying our application into cloud. When we have the deploying the application into cloud, we have the same example of training.com. Then we have deployed that application into our Azure environment, and from Azure environment it will be going into the user, and user will be able to access our application. This is the process that we have followed from on-premise to the cloud environment. And then we have also discussed about the what is cloud. Cloud is nothing but we have seen an example of a electricity board, like how we have the power. So we will be using that power and we will pay the amount every month for that power what we have utilized, but we won't completely pay for entire electricity company, or we won't go ahead and create our own electricity. That is the reason why cloud is also something like that. That is, cloud also someone else will be creating the servers, someone else will be creating the data centers, someone else will be putting all this environment at one place. From there we will be buying that server, or we will be buying that particular space, and we will utilize that space, and we will pay only for the amount of utilization that we have used. That is, that's called the pay as you go method. And then we have seen some real time scenario like Netflix to stream videos for millions of users, how this Netflix has been used. So if you have a Netflix application first, then this Netflix application have deployed into the Azure cloud, and Azure cloud has the users deployment. Now when users is trying to access the Netflix application, the streaming videos and everything, all of a sudden if Azure goes down or Azure cost increases, that is because if Netflix is completely dependent on one cloud, what happens is it will first go, if there won't be any disaster recovery kind of thing, because if Azure is down, your application is down. And once you are completely deployed into the Azure, or once you are completely dependent on any of the service, you must need to listen to them. If they increase the cost, you must need to pay the increased cost. If they have only a proper set of region, you must need to use only that proper set of region. And then if they don't have a zone in any of the nearby regions, you still need to dependent only on that cloud, because all your resources are only on that particular cloud. That's the reason why the after cloud getting matured enough, the people started, or the company started using the multi-cloud, as they got to know the difference between you to using one cloud to using many clouds. That's where Netflix started using the AWS as their streaming service, Azure as their analytics service, and GCP as their AIML service. This is how we have the starting point of multi-cloud came into picture. And then we have also seen how this multi-cloud will be automated using a Terraform scripts. Then because when a Zomato has its Diwali sales, if they want to launch 10 different servers or 10 different zones, sorry, 10 different services across the zone, then what happens is then they must need to go ahead and deploy it using a Terraform script or the CI/CD pipelines. What happens if they are not using any CI/CD or the deployment pipelines? The users must need to start creating manually, and if one service takes 1 hour of time, for 10 services it will take 10 hours of time. Rather than spending 10 hours of time in deploying the application, you can use the automation of the pipeline, where it will go ahead and deploy all your 10 services in the span of 1 hour itself. So we are saving our 9 hours of time. So this is how the Terraform automation of the multi-cloud will came into picture. One second, guys. So this is all we have discussed yesterday. Anyone have any questions on yesterday's topic? So then we have also seen about the training.com application, how your front end works, how your back end works, where you have kept your storage using a multi-cloud, how this is being deployed into the Azure DevOps, and then importance of the multi-cloud. Is that clear, everyone?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. So as I told you yesterday as well, let's make this session as interactive. I would request everyone to talk or ask doubts in any language. I'm okay with any language, English, Hindi, Telugu, but don't hesitate to ask questions or topics. That's how we will learn more things. When you ask questions, it could be like the explanation kept puts into a in-depth and you learn more things. So wherever you have a question, stop and ask. Clear? S- Everyone, is it
So,
clear?
so amongst the three platforms, like AWS has the most regions available.
It's not about the AWS has most of the regions, equal regions we have, but the cloud concept started by the AWS first, and then Azure, and then GCP. So that's the reason why you feel like AWS has most of the regions. But yeah, AWS and Azure now at this point of time, AWS and Azure has equal zones and equal regions.
Okay.
Only the GCP has less regions
Okay.
compared to these two.
Mhm.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
now,
yeah,
yeah,
sorry, Kiran, one more
no, no,
question.
go ahead.
Actually, you said multi-cloud. Yes, for example, Netflix is using streaming for AWS and Azure for
Yeah,
analytics, and GCP is for AI, right?
yep.
So, but the purpose of them is different, right? So,
Purpose of them is different as I didn't get you.
no, no, no. See, for streaming, anyway, it is using AWS, not the Azure, right?
Yes,
If the AWS
yes.
increase the cost, also they need to stay there only, right?
No, okay, I'll tell you something. So suppose let's say I have a DevOps platform, okay? My entire code is in DevOps, and I need to deploy my analytics into the Azure, streaming into the AWS, and GCP into AIML, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So now what I will be doing, I'll be creating a connection from my DevOps to Azure, from my DevOps to AWS, from my DevOps to GCP, right? So my entire infrastructure is already built with these three clouds.
Yes.
Now, if suppose let's say AWS have increased their cost of streaming, what
Mm-hmm.
I'll do, I'll simply shift my pipeline from AWS to Azure and I'll deploy the services into Azure when Azure gives me less cost.
Okay, okay. Yeah, understood. Yeah, that's what I mean. Just wanted to know. Okay.
Yeah, that's the reason why we will be using multi-cloud, because we don't need to depend on any of the cloud. If one cloud is increasing the cost, then we can easily shift, rather than suppose let's say after everything creating on Azure, all of a sudden if I need to shift to AWS, I need to spend more time because I need to create everything from scratch. But if I
Yeah.
already have the services in Azure, it will just take me some couple of hours. I'll take a 2 hours or 3 hours of downtime. I'll shift from here to there. And some companies even following a blue-green deployments as the primary as AWS and secondary as Azure. So then if AWS is increasing cost, I'll make the secondary Azure as primary, and make the AWS as secondary until and unless I create new environment in Azure. That way, I don't need to wait, or my users don't need to wait for me, but still I can continue my business.
So the blue green, like,
Yeah,
so the
blue green.
blue green thing, blue green deployment means like if uh, let's say the primary platform is AWS, secondary is Azure, and
Yeah,
for whatever reason AWS went down and the
Azure
uh,
becomes the primary.
Azure becomes the primary.
Correct.
So the billing will be also impacted, but the end user doesn't really know actually. Like it doesn't
Yes,
matter to the end user.
exactly.
Like they are streaming movies or web series like
Whatever
as
it
usual,
is.
as usual.
Yes, as usual. So there would be a probably a milliseconds or a seconds kind of glitch. All of a sudden, if you I don't know whether you guys observed it or not, while watching the videos or while watching anything, all of a sudden your app goes down. You must need to reopen it again.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that?
I don't remember the code. Sometimes I've seen a specific code displayed on the front end on Netflix if
Correct.
it doesn't
Correct.
work, and then I have to relaunch the app.
Correct. Sometimes the app itself will goes down. I mean, closes it automatically. We need to open it again. So all this happens is because of this network glitches. So if there is something happening in the server, they will just do a blue green, shift to primary to secondary. That milliseconds of time or that seconds of time, there might be having some glitch, but that is anyways valid and covered because seconds doesn't matter. Only the seconds concept will be mattered in milliseconds or seconds matter concept valid in the while doing a transactions.
Mm. And that we can pick using the Azure DevOps pipeline that this is going to
Correct.
be my primary cloud, secondary cloud.
Secondary cloud. Correct.
Got it.
Okay. That way, companies are making very easy in accepting this multi-cloud. So today, okay, so now everyone clear with yesterday's concepts. Anyone still has any confusions?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Guys, I want everyone to speak up. Okay. Today we will be understanding of about firstly, what is this multi-cloud means? Anyone wants to tell what is multi-cloud and how it started? Anyone wants to tell me what is this multi-cloud and how it started?
Services provided by different
Correct.
vendors.
Okay. So that means multi-cloud is nothing but multi-cloud means using cloud services from two or three, two or more, I can say, different cloud providers. This is nothing but the multi-cloud is. That is when we are trying to utilize our services from two or more clouds, then it is called as multi-cloud. Now, why it started? Why it started?
To avoid charges as well as outages and all. Yeah.
Correct, correct. So initially,
Probably because of compliance also.
yes. So initially, organizations used a single cloud provider. Okay. They are completely dependent on the starting stages. As cloud matured in the sense we got many concepts in the cloud. Once companies started creating cloud environments, or once companies started utilizing these cloud environments, or once companies started evolving into this cloud environments. That's where as cloud matured, companies realized different providers have different strengths, geography, cost, special services, and relying on one provider brings risk, increase in global scale, data sovereignty, regularity, regulatory demands. Multi-cloud becomes strategic. So this is how the concept of multi-cloud started. Why? Because when companies trying to evolve into the cloud technologies, when companies started utilizing more of cloud technologies, then that's where they have realized about the different cloud providers has different costs, different geographies, different special services, or each cloud provider is specialized in some or the other concepts. If you take the GCP, GCP is very specialized or very strategic or very secured in providing AI or artificial intelligence or machine learning concepts. When coming to Azure, Azure is completely utilized on the compute services or databases. And then AWS is completely resilient into Lambda data factories. So these are the different types of concepts when where each of the cloud provider is being specialized into or secured or concentrated on a specific services. That's why when we use this multi-cloud, what happens is, okay, so now let's say Azure is being specialized in compute services, that is like a virtual machine or app services. Now what I can do is I can use my front end of an application from Azure, as because it is specialized in that. AWS is specialized in databases, so I can use the backup backend database from AWS. And when I want to have this AI concepts, when I want to have this pipeline automotive concepts, I can use this GCP as the my other service cloud provider. So now with the help of this, what happens is the specialized environments from the cloud provider gives a more security to my application. So that's where people started thinking it, and that's where, even suppose let's say if I'm a businessman, probably I'll go to 10 people, talk with 10 people, take the quotations of 10 different people, check who is costing which price and what is the cost of each price. So that's where I'll pick something from the here, something from there, so that my cost will reduce and the burden for me will be reduced, right?
Yes, yes.
Is it fast, guys, or is it slow? I mean,
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, it's okay, sir.
okay. So now that is the reason why, or this is the place where the evolvement of multi-cloud started. Probably like from the year 2022, it's being more effective, and even coming days like 20 by 2032 or 2035, every company will start using this concept of multi-cloud. Okay, so if I give you a simple or basic example to make you understand the difference of or the usage of this multi-cloud, what we will be doing, just think that cloud provider as your bank. So some banks will give you 7% of interest, some banks will give you 7.5% of interest. So what you'll do, you'll put some amount in this bank, some amount in that bank, so that you'll have that savings. And if one bank is not working, you will do a UPI transaction from other bank, right? So in the same way, if one cloud is not working, you will use the other cloud. So that's where this IaaS or PaaS services or the AWS or GCP concept came into picture. Now, if I talk about some real-time examples for this multi-cloud or real-time scenarios, rather than example, let's talk it as real-time scenarios. Real-time scenarios. Now, you guys tell me first one, resilience and high availability. We also discussed about this yesterday. What is this resilience and high availability means?
Service should be available more than, I guess.
Correct.
It depends on the SLO, but typically it's 99.9, 99.8% time.
Yes, that's called the resilience and high availability. So when we have this concept of resilience and high availability in our companies, that's where we need to be more precautious or more uh, strategic in creating resources, because that depends on SLA. When situation depends on SLA, cost comes into picture. If you are not providing 99.9% of availability, your cost will be reduced by clients. If one cloud or one cloud region or provider has outage, workload fails over to another provider. Correct? If you have two clouds, what happens? If one cloud is failed, it will fail over to another cloud. So in real life or in real time, many global companies architect the multi-cloud environment. Now the second one is best of breed services. What is this best of breed services means? That is, one cloud may be best for AI or ML, another for analytics, and another for enterprise integration. And company uses each where it fits. Clear?
Yes.
Kiran, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
So regarding the high availability within the same cloud, I think they will provide different regions, right, for the failover. So initially, if one region fails, the application will fail over to another region, right? Within the same
Correct.
cloud. After,
Correct.
if
Correct.
if the whole cloud fails, then it will fail over to
Shift
different.
another cloud. Correct. So that is like how we set up the environment. Now if I'm completely dependent on only one cloud, then I'll use different zones as my disaster recovery, that is primary or secondary. Okay. But when I need to talk about the failover to another cloud, I won't go with the zone level. I'll take the LRS of this cloud as primary and LRS of that another cloud as secondary. By this way, what happens is I won't need to pay extra amount in this both clouds. Anyways, I have two um, clouds, two different disaster recoveries. So that way I can save some more amount. Or if the cloud is seriously, I mean the company is seriously looking into a core research and development or core government services or banking services, that's where they will be using this zone region level as well as cloud level disaster recovery. Okay.
So when like these cloud providers are not able to meet the SLA of 99.9% of time,
Mhm.
do they get fined by the clients? Let's say like SBI uses AWS and Azure, and for whatever reason AWS went down. So would AWS pay some penalty or fine to SBI?
So that depends on how their SLA rules or
Okay,
how the
okay.
SLA
How the
terms and
contract is signed.
yes, the contract is signed.
Okay.
So if they accept for 99.9% at particular time, sometimes like so that's where they will define these priorities of resolving the issue. Survey, serve B, and serve C. So if you have survey, they will be resolving it in 2 hours. So even
Mhm.
after 2 hours it is not being resolved, then that could be a major issue where it could be dependent on both the client as well as the provider. So that's where, based on the SLA terms or based on the SLA terminology, they will be having the fine and everything.
Yeah.
Because no company wants to lose the amount, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And third one is regulatory or data sovereignty and latency. So this where your SLA comes into picture, the latency point. If you have users in Asia, you may use a cloud provider with data center in Asia, or regulatory demands you store data in country. That's where multi-cloud helps by reducing the latency. And then you have avoids vendor lock in. That is by distributing workloads across providers, you avoid being stuck with one vendor pricing services and outages. Clear? Suppose like let's say if you have the application in a simple way, if I need to deploy an application. Now based on this, tell me if I want to deploy an application, how can I go ahead and deploy an application?
You would need a virtual machine or a server to deploy,
Correct. But
and then
before that, what I need a DevOps environment. Correct.
yes,
So what I'll be doing, I'll be first writing the code to DevOps in the pipeline or in the Azure DevOps with the help of Azure DevOps or any DevOps platform, not just the Azure, either GitHub. You only have two environments like GitHub or Azure DevOps for the repository storing, or you have Bitbucket and yeah, you also have the Bitbucket. So there are many services, but take any sort of DevOps environment, you must need to first store the code. And if I need to deploy it into the virtual machines, then I need a virtual machine from one cloud, let's say Azure Cloud VM. Then my one part of code will be going to this virtual machine. Sorry. And then database. So this database will be AWS database. So this backend will be gone into database. These both will be interacted using a load balancer. Your front end and back end. And with the this is load balancer, and this load balancer will be using a firewall, that is WAF, web application firewall. Web application firewall. And then you have users. So this is how your application is being deployed or connected. Is that clear now, everyone?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about some of the advantages. So after listening to this multi-cloud, you guys tell me advantages of multi-cloud environment. Yes. First one, what is it?
High availability.
Correct. Resilience and
Yeah.
high availability. Next,
costing.
flexibility Sorry, what is it?
Costing.
Costing, correct. Flexibility and choice. And third one, as mentioned, cost and performance optimization. Next,
Time saving.
mm, no, not about time, but we can write latency,
Okay.
global reach and latency optimization. Next, compliance and data locality. Next, innovation, access, vendor lock-in, avoidance. Correct? So these are the advantages of multi-cloud environment. Clear, everyone? Now for every new concept, there will be advantages as well as disadvantages. Now, rather than disadvantages, let's say challenges. Okay, you guys getting it? Any
Yeah.
questions, confusions? Okay, so now let's say, can anyone tell me the challenges? Multi-cloud. What are the challenges of multi-cloud?
Managing even more complex infra.
Correct. Increased complexity. Second,
Maybe increased vulnerability, like from security standpoint, right? It's more attack paths now.
correct. Security and governance issues. Next, integration and interoperability issues. Okay, and the next we have is high operational overhead, and we have data transfer and latency issues. Sixth one is skill requirement and change management. Cost management risk. So these are the disadvantages, or that we can call it as challenges rather than disadvantages of multi-cloud. Everyone clear with this? Any questions, confusions? Guys, I want everyone to speak up.
Clear,
Yeah.
clear.
Okay. So then, okay. So far, we have learned about the multi-cloud. We have learned the importance of multi-cloud and when it started, why it started, and what is the disadvantages or advantages of multi-cloud. As we are very new to this training and we want to learn something, what we gonna achieve, what is the use of learning multi-cloud? What is the market importance of multi-cloud in today's world? How can you build up your career, or what would be your job role using a multi-cloud in a real time? So let's understand those before going into the deep dive of multi-cloud, because we are learning this for to achieve something, right? Because without achievement, it's waste of learning any technology. So we need to understand what is the market importance of multi-cloud, how this multi-cloud is being treated by companies, what are all the different job roles you will be getting when you learn multi-cloud, and what are all the different roles that you can apply. Do you want to see that? Do you want to know about that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's discuss about market importance. Okay, the global multi-cloud, the global multi-cloud management market was valued at dollar or at USD 8.6 billion. Sorry, why it is going this? 8.6 billion in 2022. This is the average market price valued for multi-cloud environment. And after 2022, projected to grow 25% CAGR. That is, again, the global career objective of this multi-cloud management from 2023 to 2032. This is the overall idea of increasing the concept of multi-cloud technologies or usage of multi-cloud in overall market. Anyone have any questions?
Okay.
No? Do you know what is CAGR? Anyone of you
Compound,
know what is CAGR?
compound annual growth rate.
Correct. Compound annual growth rate. Compound, sorry, annual growth rate. We call it as CAGR. So in 20, from 2023 to 2032, the CAGR will be increased by 25%. enterprises are increasingly adopting multi-cloud strategies for resilience, cost, innovation. So for the people who are in India or the people who are in want to learn this multi-cloud matters a lot for the majorly for Indian people because global trends matter. Indian firms and globally delivery centers also need multi-cloud competency. So this is the current market importance for multi-cloud. Okay, now let's understand about. Okay, we have learned about multi-cloud. We got the training. Now we are efficient enough to do multi-cloud projects. Then we started searching for jobs. What would be your career or job role as multi-cloud engineer or cloud engineer? Are you guys getting it? So what the job of a multi-cloud engineer looks like is someone who designs, deploys, manages workloads across multiple cloud platforms, that is AWS, Azure, GCP, sets automation, handles cost, performance, security, and governance. This will be your job role if you join as a multi-cloud engineer. By completing our complete course, you will be having a hands-on idea or hands-on experience on all these services. That is, you will be knowing what to design, what to deploy, what to manage, in what clouds, and how to set automation using Azure DevOps, how to handle the cost. That is, when you have the virtual machine, like suppose let's say you have $10 of virtual machine in Azure and $5 of virtual machine in AWS, which one to choose, how the performance will affect if you choose. If someone is putting some less cost, that means that there would be some issues compared to more cost, or it could be because of the branding as well. That is, anyway, if the product will be same in each but the branding value increases, the cost will increase. That's why we need to very much interest on performance, security, and governance. Clear? So if I need to give you a cloud engineer role, suppose cloud in current in today or yeah, in today's thing, cloud engineer salaries in the US is equal to $130K for an average mid-level. That means almost like 10, 15 to 20 lakh in IS, INR. That is Indian rupee. Multi-cloud fluency, knowing more than one provider gives competitive advantage. So this is what your job role is, and this is what the importance of your career when you use multi-cloud. Clear everyone on this, and this is the reason why you must need to learn multi-cloud for the evolving of things. I just got a message. Okay. Clear everyone on this. Any questions? Still any confusions?
Inside.
Okay. So not just the multi-cloud, but we will also, along with the multi-cloud DevOps, DevSecOps, we will also learn the multi-clouds DevOps AI, because when we use two or more clouds, we will be running an application or storing data into different services. That's where our AI will also comes into picture. We have, when you go into the tools like SonarQube, Travi, and Zap or Kubernetes. This is the place where you will be learning about the AI concepts as well. That is multi-cloud DevOps AI, which is a current evolving technology. Yeah, it's questions time. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me. So this is our, I hope you already received the content where you will be, what you will be learning in which day. So we have a 75 days, and we will be learning about all these tools, okay, with every day. What concept, like what is cloud computing, why multi-cloud, DevOps concepts, cloud console walkthroughs, Linux essentials, shell scripting basics, and basics plus even somewhat advanced level, not just the basics one. And then GitHub and Git and GitHub branching strategies, YAML essentials, in CI/CD concepts, and every day you will be having a hands-on sessions. Like you will be sharing the screen, we will be walking through resolving the issues. Let's continue in a, let's make this as not just the uh, just a learning session, but let's make this as an interactive session so that you will be having an added advantage of resolving the issues then and there itself. And also you will be having a real-time concepts and real-time projects. Clear? Still any questions for anyone? If you don't have this document with you, you can just check with your admin. Admin will share you the document.
I have a question around the certifications, Kiran. I'm not sure about India, but in Canada, they definitely value certifications. but it's
Yeah.
almost impossible, right, for one engineer to have so many different certifications in AWS, Azure, or GCP.
No, so if you do a AZ305 or AZ400, suppose let's say I
Yeah.
have 900, 104, 305, and 400. That covers all my complete environment, complete multi-cloud, because AZ900 is the fundamentals,
Yes.
AZ104 is the infrastructure,
Yeah.
305 is a solution architect. You have basic, intermediate, and advanced level of certifications.
Oh, so
Okay.
there is no need to like have certification from AWS also and then GCP.
No, no, not required, because the backend concept of each cloud is same.
Mhm.
Suppose let's say you have a virtual machine. So in Azure you call it as virtual machine. When
Yeah.
comes to AWS you call it as EC2.
EC2. Yeah.
When comes to a GCP you again call it as virtual machine. When comes to Kubernetes you'll call in GCP you call Go, Google Kubernetes. When comes to AWS, you call EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Services. When comes to Azure, you call it as Azure Kubernetes Services, AKS. Yes, correct. Correct, Biswa. EKS and AKS. And in the same way, functions, you call it as functions in Azure, Lambda in AWS, GCP again you call it as functions. So the backend concept or backend strategy is same for each cloud. That is the reason why the multi-cloud got evolved, because when there is a lot of difference from different clouds, you there won't be a concept of multi-cloud itself, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So no need to worry about that. You must need to have 9 to 10 certificates. But you need to have a proper, when you talk about the Canada or US, you need to have a proper certifications like basic, intermediate, and advanced.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I got my answer, I guess. So if I want to become Azure first multi-cloud engineer, then I should focus on certifications in Azure.
Yep. Clear everyone on this? Any questions? Okay. If there is no questions, we will continue our class tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.